Hey, what's up guys, another video, and today I'm going to be bringing you another video, and it's going to be on, does the Eric Bledsoe trade actually make the Milwaukee Bucks a finals contender? Most likely not, but I'm going to go into reasons why this could make them a finals contender. I have 4 reasons actually, so without further ado, without me rambling on too much, let's get right into this video. My first reason is actually going to be this actually gives them a true point guard, as their current point guard right now is Malcolm Brogdon, and he was actually drafted into the league to be a shooting guard, but once their point guard went down and from injury, they moved him, and it kind of just worked out. But now with Eric Bledsoe, they'll be able to move Malcolm Brogdon back to his original position. Obviously, his numbers will go up a ton, and that's already really good because Malcolm Brogdon was already Rookie of the Year last year, so his stats can only go up from last year pretty much if he's getting back to his natural born position. But then you're also getting one of the better point guards in the league. He's a borderline all-star point guard. The dude averages 21.1 points per game, 1.4 steals per game, 6.3 assists per game, and 4.3 rebounds per game. So Eric Bledsoe is obviously really good to have out of the point guard, and he's definitely a better point guard than they have right now. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon has more potential than Eric Bledsoe, but hey, you never know. I do think Malcolm Brogdon's better than Eric Bledsoe, but I think Eric Bledsoe is a better point guard than Malcolm Brogdon. You know what I mean? And then also my second reason is Eric Bledsoe is extremely flexible. What I mean by that is, like, a lot of people are asking, do you think Eric Bledsoe will be able to fit in with the Milwaukee Bucks? And I really do think he will, because just think of the teams he's been on. He was drafted to the Los Angeles Clippers when they still had Chris Paul, one of the most ball-dominant point guards to ever live. One of the best point guards and most ball-dominant point guards to ever live. He had to play alongside Chris Paul, and I mean, he was still able to be a semi-productive in scoring and passing and like assists and all that, points per game. And then when he was traded to the Phoenix Suns, and he had to play with another dominant player in Devin Booker, who's extremely ball dominant. He can shoot a lot, and he always scores at least 20 points a game. The dude averages 20 points per game. And I mean, this dude still averages 20 points per game. And I mean, he's still managing to be a borderline all-star. So yes, I do think he'll be able to fit in with Giannis, Malcolm Brogdon, Thon Maker, and all those great young players that they do have. I do think they're going to be able to easily let him fit in with all the teams that he's fit in before and everything he had to do different in both those teams. I do think he's going to know how to fit in very, very well. And then my third reason is actually going to be, this gives them probably some of the most depth in the entire NBA. Because the thing about this, these are just their starters. Because they have a MVP candidate in Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not even going to try to say that last name. And the dude averages 31 points per game, 9.8 rebounds per game, and 1.7 blocks per game. And then also last year, they have last year's Rookie of the Year in Malcolm Brogdon at shooting guard, who is averaging 16.2 points per game, 4.9 assists per game, 2.2 rebounds per game, and 1 steal per game, which is a huge jump from last year. And he was Rookie of the Year last year, and those stats are a big jump from last year. But they also have a borderline all-star, like I said earlier, Eric Bledsoe, who has shown that he can play with the best of the other point guards at times, and now he's going into his prime years. He's 27 years old. These are considered players' prime years. And then also when Jabari Parker comes back from injury, they're going to have him, who's pretty dominant. He's a pretty dominant power forward, and the dude averages 20 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, and 1 steal per game. And obviously that was before the injury, and when he comes back for him, they need him to be as productive as that. And that's probably one of the best starting fives in the NBA, because their center, let's not get into their center, it's pretty bad. But then also they have the bench of Tony Snell, who's a great young shooting guard, and the dude is averaging 10 points per game, 2.1 assists per game, 2.3 rebounds per game. So obviously not the best player, but he's a great bench player to have, and he could develop into a potential starter one day. He could be a very good player in this league one day. You never know how he could develop. And then they also have Matthew Dellavedova, who has shown that he's a great defender, and he has played in some of the biggest stages of the NBA. He's played and won the NBA Finals. So I mean, this dude is obviously a good, like, pretty much a veteran, a young veteran pretty much to have on your team, and he's a good backup point guard. And then also probably their best player off their bench, Thon Maker, who was the 10th pick of the 2016 draft, and right now he's only averaging 5.1 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game. But this dude has the potential to become one of the best centers in the entire game. So I mean, if he can start developing, if any two of those bench players, and Tony Snell or Thon Maker, can start developing, this team could be very scary. And I think this team will probably be a 6 or 5, it's a stretch, 6 or 7 seed in this year's playoffs. And next year, I think if they make just one more great move next year, I think they could be extremely close to be a championship contender. And also my fourth and final reason is going to be they're in the Eastern Conference, where Cleveland and Boston are the only two threats to really make the finals in that conference. And right now, we don't even know what's going on, because Boston has lost their second best player in Gordon Hayward, and Cleveland can't even play defense right now. They're not even in the playoffs right now. So everything's really confusing right now for them. So pretty much a lot of things are going for the Milwaukee Bucks, so I wouldn't put it past them. So now, before I end off the video, let's recap. So this probably gives them a really good true point guard. It does give them a really good true point guard, because they were able to put Malcolm Brogdon back to a shooting guard, which he hasn't been able to do since his rookie year. And when he plays shooting guard, he excels. He's shown that already. And then also they're getting a borderline all-star in Eric Bledsoe. And then also Eric Bledsoe can fit into almost any system as he fit in, where he had to pass more and score less his first few years for the Clippers, and then he had to score more and then pass a little bit more at the end of the year when Devin Booker came back, and he was still able to excel right there. So I'm sure he'll be able to play with Giannis and that great team. And also, this gives them a tons of depth, as, they have a great starting five in Giannis, Eric Bledsoe, Malcolm Brogdon, and when Jabari Parker comes back, Jabari Parker. The only problem is that Giannis is probably going to have to move to center, so, I guess the problem's kind of like they have too much talent, but, that's a good problem to have. But not even just that, their starting lineup is so good. They also have a bench of Thon Maker, Matthew Dellavedova, and Tony Snell. Two of those three players, and Thon Maker and Tony Snell, have a chance to develop into great things. And then also my last reason, they're in a weaker conference, and right now the conference is all mumbo jumbo right now. It's like kind of up in the air. So, really a lot of things are going their way, but I think a lot more things are going to have to go their way. And especially next year, they need to make another move in the offseason, probably get a extremely good center. If Thon Maker doesn't start to show improvement after this year, I think you're gonna have to go start marketing for a center, maybe trade him for a center. Oh yeah, and another reason I didn't write down, but they also have tons of young assets. They could probably flip some of them into NBA stars. Like, they could trade some of them for NBA stars right now. I'm sure they could. With all the young talent they have, I'm extremely sure they will, but I do think a couple of them will turn into stars themselves. So guys, comment below if you think I'm right. Do you think they can be the finals contenders, or do you already think they're finals contenders? And also hit the like button if you like the video, and hit the subscribe button if you like the video at any point. It'd mean the world to me. We're at 101 subscribers. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much. But kids, don't think of your attitude. Remember, never do vegetables, always eat drugs, stay safe, race about, goodbye.